A beautiful day, Black family. Welcome back to the School of Urban Philosophy, where we always straight up, straightforward, and straight to the point, where information is used to empower and revolutionize the Black man and the Black woman throughout the world. Today is February the 1st, and for many people, they may say many negative things about Black History Month. But Black History Month is a very important time of the year for Black people. We cannot adopt the mentality of stepping on the good works of our ancestors. We can't do that, and we can't be a part of that. Oftentimes I heard the question thrown around. Why they give us the shortest time of the year? First and foremost, white people didn't give us the Black History Month, and you have to be very clear about that. That didn't come from white people at all. The thinking, the ideas, the aspiration, the principle behind Black History Month originated with Dr. Carter G. Woodson, with Negro History Week, and it evolved over those years through the effort of other activists to evolve it to a month celebration. You had many different Black men and women that played a part over the years from 1926 all the way up until 1976. In 1976, Black History Month was institutionalized and officially recognized by Dr. Carter G. Woodson's organization. So for a point of clarity, let's not say white folk gave us anything. That's revisionist history when we say that. And we give them too much power. And that is part of the mistake. We give them too much power. We act as if we don't have the power and the agency to define for ourselves. And that's at the center of what it means to be African-centered or Afrocentristic, to act in the form of your own agent. By that, what do I mean? I mean that we define for ourselves. We conceptualize for ourselves. We define what's right for us, what's wrong for us. We determine who our enemies are and who our friends are. We do that. So we're not going to sit up here and destroy good works by good people because some revisionists want to misrepresent Black History Month. And with that, I'm going to pass it to my comrades and let them weigh in and see what they got to say.
I'm going to kick it off because not too long ago, and even coming up, I had to do a presentation on education. Hartford Community College wanted me to come in and do a presentation focused around education, what it is, and what students should be prepared for when it comes to, engaging in college to understand what education is. And in reference to Dr. Carter G. Woodson, many people don't know this, is that he was so motivated by the time period that he lived in. If you read his book, Miseducation of the Negro, he points out in several cases how he passed over different, let's just say, high-end or well-paid teaching positions to be a principal, to be a dean, in order to push the agenda of the Negro History Week, because he felt that to be so important. So, we got to pour a digital or a virtual libation on this day and every day to Dr. Carter G. Woodson for the sacrifice he made financially in order to push what he found to be most important. And that should be something that we see as a stepping stone for us. There's many times we may be offered money or different positions, and sometimes those positions may deter us from the path that is more conducive to maybe our feelings with our people, or maybe our path that we want to be on. So in that, we got to be able to pass over those opportunities and understand that what we stand on and what we are all about, that's going to be able to support us as long as we're able to push it the correct way. And that's just simply being passionate. Be passionate, network with people, and you'd be surprised the number of doors that will open for you. I just wanted to drop that small jewel and leave the door open for anybody else that wanted to come at it with a different dynamic.
Now I appreciate that. That's I was real insightful and it was on point. Um, Sister Tiambe, you want to add on? We can't hear you. Nope, we cannot.
You might gotta log off, log back on, Mama.
You hear me now?
Yes,
Oh,
ma'am.
there you go.
There we go. Good. I started with a little bit of fire. Gotta bring it back up. So, Baba, when you spoke about the the complaints that end up, arising regarding this month, it makes one wonder, what are we doing with the remainder of our months? Because in line with that same thought process of you shouldn't wait to be, you shouldn't wait to have permission, right? You shouldn't feel like you've been given permission. You haven't been given a month. You've been given the entire year just through your very birthright. So every single thing that you do, every action that you take, every engagement that you have with African people, every conversation that you have, every opportunity that you have opening up, you have to understand that this is Black history. You are Black history, right? You creating a Black family is Black history. And I think that when we reframe it in that type of way, able to see beyond just the 28, or in this year 29 days of what we feel has been given to us, because that's something that we innately have. We are innately creators and innovators. We are innately the ones who move mountains and make the world go round. And so Black history is something that is simply inside of us and inside of everything that we do. So for those who do feel that way, just take that as a moment of reflection and think about, well, are you actively living and being Black history? Are you actively living and doing Black history? Or are you waiting to be allowed to take time out to honor Marcus Garvey or a Madam C.J. Walker, and learn about those same ancestors that you typically feel safe learning about, right? Are you allowing yourself to dig deeper into our history and going into the American Negro slave revolts, right? And seeing the ways in which we were busting heads, right? That rough history, because that happened too. That happened too. Our history wasn't all, peanuts and traffic lights. Our history consisted of violence and revolution. Our history has a myriad of things in which we were accomplishing. I'll leave it there.
Hey man, Dr. George Washington Carver was my man. Don't just say peanuts and traffic lights now.
Hmm. That was great. That was great.
You feeling like it, Carl, right?
No, I'm just laughing at you, Bob. I don't think she meant it like that, because
I know.
yeah. But that's important though, because a lot of people do look at our history like that. We just think that we were some passive people. Even when we look at the civil rights movement, we don't understand that even though MLK was saying something about nonviolence, they still had the beacons of defense surrounding them. Like I forgot, it was this. I don't know his name, but it was this one interview. This guy from the Black Liberation Army, he was doing an interview. He was saying how the beacons of defense was always walking with the marches, and he said that's the reason why you never seen no Klan trying to interrupt what they was doing, and it was coming up during the most racist time. So if it was that sweet to mess with us, why didn't they do? Why didn't they stop us all the times we was marching from Alabama to DC and all these other places? We had some security. It just wasn't being promoted like that. And he felt like it was kind of like a disservice, because it does create that thing in our people's mind, like, do we really fight back? But fighting is not just physical. So I think that's also a good thing for you to say as well, because people can miss somebody like Dr. George Washington Carver and not see the significance in that. But at the end of the day, that's why history is important, because history clears all that stuff up. Like, we got to be able to see, like Mama Tiambe was saying, like, we are Black history. And so whenever we're looking at what our ancestors did, you just learning something about yourself the same way you will learn something about your parents. And so we just got to be able to see it like that. You know, we got to be able to know that this month is about adding gasoline to the fire, because the fire's supposed to be burning all year long. But in a revolution, you know, you need that fire to keep going. You don't need the fire to go out. You know, that fire, that's your friend. You know, you ain't gonna win no revolution without no fire. So, you know, we need to make that thing sky high, like make it flame on, because, you know, we in too much trouble, man. We in too much trouble. And the more we study history, we'll see the necessity of what our ancestors was doing, because our ancestors was doing some really powerful stuff. Like, you know, especially when we talk about what it really takes to carry out a revolution, that's not no easy feat. I think a lot of times we say that word so loosely, we don't really know what that really entails. So I'm gonna just stop right there.
Well, Hotep Mama Ife, I see you coming through looking like the 1960s Black is Beautiful. How you feeling tonight?
Hotep, I'm good. I'm great.
Okay.
Um,
I agree with you. I was looking at the comment, Black meaning African. That's a regular brother, right? Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, I was looking, and I agree with that statement. The challenge with Black history is convincing our people to use history as a weapon. You know, I was on my way driving home, I was kind of playing around with that idea. The idea of what are tools and how different tools are used for different purposes. Just recently, I learned how to do what do you call it when you change out the spark plug? A tune-up. I learned how to do a tune-up on my car, right? Now, in order to do that successfully, I had to branch out, go buy some different tools. I had to buy a torque wrench. I had to buy some deep sockets in order to conduct that tune-up on my car. I didn't have the tools for it. And I perceive history in that same capacity. You know, one of the things that Dr. Carter G. Woodson pointed out in his book was that a lot of times in different areas of study, we're unfamiliar with the significance and the impact that has been made when it comes to the contributions that our people have made. So therefore, one of our tasks and one of our responsibilities is that when it comes to whatever it is that we want to bring to this revolutionary table or do this revolutionary agenda, let's say somebody is, I'll just take me, for example. My particular field of passion is holistic health. Therefore, my duty and my responsibility is to go out and to find the different examples of people who have used plants, who have used maybe breathing techniques, or just who have been able to connect with maybe an unseen spiritual element in order to conduct the healing that is necessary for our people. And to run, and you know, that runs the gamut. So it's not only looking at the works and the things that was put out by a Dr. Layla Africa or a Dr. Sabi or a Dr. Jewel Pookrum. It's also looking at the many dynamics that can come with the mental aspect. So Dr. Naim Akbar, again, runs the gamut. So when it comes to you and your field, one of the things that will be vital that we should be able to teach our people is that if you have a particular interest in something, find those Black people who have made significant contributions to that particular field, because we're out there. We just got to know. And then that becomes the tool that is used in your lane as you implement this whole agenda for us as a people. I got to go hand to my daughter real quick. Excuse me.
The challenge. So he said the challenge with Black history is convincing our people to use history as a weapon. We learn to not just take the month as recognition, but instead as a reminder that catapults us to move as a weapon. And the reason why the reason why that becomes a challenge is because the whole concept of history is misunderstood. It's misunderstood because it's mistaught. The first stage and the first step is to help people truly to understand what history is. History is what a people actually creates. History is a product of a will. History is the product of a people exerting their will upon their environment. They are the makers and the sustainers of history. History is something that's actively engaged in on a daily basis. History is a dynamism, it's dynamic, and it happens in the present. History never occurs in the past. History starts in the present and becomes a thing of the past. But history is always what we do now. So even this particular YouTube is an act of history. That's what we're doing. We are engaging in a historical moment to be a part of making history. And when we understand it that way, we understand how it becomes the tool, because history directs us, because we can begin to direct the course of the events that are going to happen in our lives. That's what's so important. So it's challenging when we're talking to people who have been trained to only view history as events and dates of long ago, detached and separate from themselves. When that occurs, it's a struggle. You can't understand the power of history if you cannot connect yourself to history. So when you think about things that have occurred, if you can't see those things as being an extension of you, then you don't understand how to use the power. You don't understand how to derive the potential of the history, because you are the maker. So Black history is the product of Black people actively engaging in exerting their will upon their environment. What do I mean by that? I mean, when we actively engage in how we're going to construct our economic systems, our political systems, our social institutions, our spiritual practices, how we're going to set our families up, that's us exerting our will upon our environment, how we're going to craft out what our territory is going to be, how we're going to defend the territory, right? That's history. That's what we do, because when we do that, in that instance, we are creating lessons for another generation of people to examine, to learn from. That's the purpose. That's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to act in the moment. By acting in the moment, we're shaping and fashioning history for those generations of people that come behind us, so they can know, they can say they went that way. This is where the people went. This is how they went. This is why they did what they did. Case in point, we study Queen Nzinga. We don't study Queen Nzinga just to fantasize because of the fact that she fought the Portuguese. You study Queen Nzinga to understand how she fought the Portuguese. How she fought the Portuguese. What made her a military genius? What did she do? What did she think? That's what this is about. You study Shaka Zulu for the same reason, not to just get caught up in the fact that it was King Shaka. We're not caught up in that. The sensationalism of history is revisionist and it's reductionist, right? When you get caught up in the sensationalization of, we can't get caught up in the sensationalization. We're looking at history for the lessons, to see how those lessons impact our lives and how we can learn from those lessons. So history becomes a source of power. It becomes a source of power, right? Because history does what? It grounds us. That's what history does. Within history is where we find our true identity. History gives us that. History and culture. Right? So we look to history as a beacon so we can go forward. So it becomes a weapon when you understand that it's powerful. When you understand that it's powerful, then you know how to direct the power of history. You know how to utilize the power. But many of our people don't understand history, don't have a clue what history is. We think it's just dates and events of long ago. That's not history. That's not history.
Yeah, that's a problem. And so I think it takes a certain degree already of a certain amount of self-initiative, because a lot of times when we look out into the world, we be like, man, the world is messed up, yo. I don't trust nobody, and if there was a higher power, why is the world like this? But when we talk like that, we miss the fact that we supposed to be doing something. Because at the end of the day, what are we here for? Ain't nobody gonna be dropping out the sky. Like, I just gotta say, like, nobody's gonna be dropping out the sky. Like, at the end of the day, we are those divine beings that's supposed to help change the earth and make things better for our people. If we don't like what we see what's going on, do something about it. It's no different. You know, if your child hungry, you know, get them something to eat. But the thing becomes like we go outside and we just think that somebody else is supposed to come do it. So a lot of us, we waiting for people. So when we start looking at history, we don't see it in the aspect of those people who stepped up and did something to make a huge difference. You know, looking at somebody like Mama Asada Shakur, man, they was going in at that time when they was doing their stuff. You know, and that's why the counterintelligence program was all over them. You know, but even despite all those things, she still escaped prison, and she planned it. She planned her escape. You know, she got an interview on YouTube talking about, you know, not saying how she did it, but she said, you know, I did it on purpose because I seen what these people was doing. When I got into prison, they was putting all the women in the prison against her. You know, they shut down the schools in the prison. They shut down the work. They said nobody going to work, nobody going to school, and it's all because of her over there, Asada Shakur. Y'all can thank her. And so they now crowded in that room. They can't do nothing. Everybody's agitated and angry. And she's seen that. And she was like, you know, I'm leaving. I'm not about to stay here and let y'all kill me. I'm leaving. And so with the help of her organization, she escaped prison and she's gone in Cuba. They got $2 million on her head. Can't find her. But that's how powerful history is. But we got to be able to see ourselves in that, because so many people, we saying, oh, I don't want to be a revolutionary because I might die. I might go to jail. But looking at stories like that let you know that white people is not invincible. This system is not invincible. Like, we gotta be able to go hard because we don't got enough time to be waiting for somebody to come save us, man. We should have been handled this years ago, hundreds of years ago, you know, but it's taking time. But we don't have no time for people to be saying, you know, oh, I'm not trying to help out, I'm not trying to hop in. And I get it, people got to understand. But when we see the light, you know, we got to keep walking, man. We got to keep walking because there's too many bodies that's dropping. Like, you know, we can go on and on about a lot of stuff. Like, you know, even with Tupac, what he was doing with Thug Life. A lot of people don't know what he was doing with the Thug Life. They just see the words. Really, that was a code to organize street organizations. Because he's seen that people was getting reckless, you know, going to house parties and shooting up the whole house party. Instead of that, with the help of Matutu Shakur, Baba Tupac, he said, you know what? Instead of shooting up a whole house party, you go at your target. If you got an issue with another person, go at your target. Don't shoot up the whole house party. So what he was doing was trying to organize some of the violence. He wasn't trying to automatically just say, you know, y'all need to stop, because it is reasons why people do stuff. But at the end of the day, when we look at our history, we will see stuff like this. You know, it clears up a lot of things and it informs us how to engage people, because a lot of people don't want to talk to the brothers in the street. People act like they got a virus and they scared of them. But how are we going to change our situation if we don't want to talk to our own people? So like, it's a lot of stuff that history benefits for us, but we got to be willing to open our mind to it year round. And when Black History Month come around, we got to really take advantage of those people that's, you know, that's putting out information, putting out events, and really just making it personal.
Historical, excuse me, historical ignorance conditions a people to be ahistorical. And that's what have happened to a great many of us. We are ahistorical, meaning we have no interest nor concern for history. In our minds, history is insignificant. We ask dumb questions like this. How is history going to help me pay my bills? That's a dumb question. It's stupid. It's a stupid question. I know we think it makes sense. I know we believe it's logical. We believe it's intelligent. Right? But it's a stupid question. Because whatever you don't know about yourself incapacitates your ability to do for yourself at the highest level. Let me say that again. Whatever you don't know about you, who you are, incapacitates your ability to do for yourself at the highest level. Right? And we should live for more than just paying bills. So if you only live to pay bills, then that's a testament to the reason why you need to know your history. Because you shouldn't just be living to pay bills.
That's right.
But because you don't have the historical awareness, the historical knowledge, the historical maturity, you have become a victim of circumstances, and circumstances that have been systematically constructed by your enemy to entrap you within circumstances. And that's where most of us are at. We're just caught inside a bunch of circumstances. Mismanaged money, chase stuff and things. We buy what we can't afford. Think we can afford it because we can buy it, but you really can't afford it. You're caught up in circumstances. And this happens to you when you don't know who you are by being disconnected and totally severed from your history. Historical amnesia is a serious mental condition. It's a psychological condition. So,
Bob,
history, yes, sir.
I got a question. How do we make history appealing to the people now?
That's a good question, right?
Great question.
Realistically speaking, my position is always I like to take the path that's most people not walking. I don't believe we need to make it appealing, because I think in our attempts to make it appealing, I think we have already compromised it. I think the people who don't want to get it don't deserve to get it. I don't believe we're going to save every black person on the planet. I don't believe every black person in the United States of America is going to wake up. Some of the ones that are asleep need to remain asleep. We got some real live black devils running around, some real live black menaces running around that need to be removed from the planet Earth, right? I think the history needs to be given to us as raw as we can give it to us. And I think that if that courage is in you, if that revolutionary spirit is in you, if it's still there, I believe you're going to wake up. I believe we need to see history in its rawest form so we can get up and wake up. I don't think we need to mix no sugar with it. You know what I'm saying? I'm quite sure that them herbs you sent me don't taste sweet. I know they don't taste sweet. And you ain't telling me mixing up with it. You sent me 3 jars of herb I got to take down here, man. I didn't know it's not sweet.
Hey, got one more for you. Ain't no honey in that one.
Ain't no honey in there. I got to take that stuff raw. You know what I'm saying? To get right. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take it raw to get right. And that's how history needs to be given to us. You know what I'm saying? What they say, revenge is best served when? How that little saying? Y'all know that saying from that movie. Who said that movie? It didn't come to me. But it needs to be extremely raw.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
What you think, Mama Ife?
I don't have any thoughts right now. Felt like he made some good points.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I just think that the more work that gets done, the more people is just going to see. Or Bibi Fahodier, Zinzi, Jabali. We always see your name. I apologize if I got it wrong. But Bibi Fahodier, race first. But yeah, I think the more work that gets done, the more people is going to understand. Because that was one of the things that and dang, I should know the guy's name. I was just watching an interview today, but he was speaking about the Black Liberation Army, and he was saying that the community backed them because they seen how these people was responding to some of the forces that was terrorizing the community, like the police department, the FBI, even the CIA. They seen that these people wasn't scared to contend with these people. So I believe that when our people see us demonstrating, the importance of history, and when they see us serving the community in a genuine way, I believe that's what kind of helps them win them over. Because like Baba been saying, some people, they just not going to get it. But at the end of the day, it's for those who are open to it. We can't never chase nobody. But at the end of the day, I just think that we just need to be able to just execute, because that's what it's about. We can't be standing around waiting for people. We just got to keep putting out the work, doing the work, and then eventually it's going to catch on to the right people. That's how the motion is going to get moved. And so at the end of the day, as revolutionaries, all we can do is keep revolutionizing ourselves, looking at ourselves, improving ourselves, and then engaging the people. And then everything else is going to work itself out, because like you were saying, Baba, everybody already has a lane that they should be using. You should be coming as your authentic self. And when you come as your authentic self, you're going to have a particular lane that speaks to people, without you even have to try to compromise yourself or try to squeeze into a role to catch somebody's attention. If you're interested in doing art and dance, that's going to come out naturally. Like my daughter, You know, ever since she been real young, she been bobbing and weaving the music. I'm just like, how you got rhythm like that? You so young. She was a few months old, you know, bobbing her head on beat. But you know, naturally that's gonna come out. That's how she learned how to walk. You know, we was turning on Burna Boy. She's trying to stand up to the music, walking a little bit, fall back down. You know, that's how we was motivating her to start walking. So it's the same way with our people. You know, when you come as your authentic self and you learning about the history, you transforming yourself. I believe naturally, you know, that's going to gain a certain amount of attention because the revolution is not about, you know, trying to be the most popular thing. It's mostly about trying to do the right thing. But you know, naturally, when we do what we supposed to do, we're gonna meet the right people. That's what I believe.
Ashay. Good point.
Absolutely. Who want to take that? Who want to take that one? Tio, baby, we ain't heard from you, my sister.
Well, it's funny you should say that. I was just coming off mute. I was coming off mute. There you go.
I
So,
see.
and this reminds me of and I'll read it for anybody who's unable to. History is not important to us because we are currently in a subservient state. Our history is about us being conquered and then struggling to survive. We honor their history, their power. And I think that's just a reflection of the mindset of the people who are approaching history, because that's going to indicate the way that they either learn the history and just leave it at that, or they learn from the history so that it can grow into that actionable state. And so when you're learning from your history, you're able to look at what has occurred in the past and you're able to utilize that, right? You were able to create an actionable lesson from that. So when you look at the Haitian Revolution, right? When you look at Hannibal Barca, when you look at these different acts that have occurred in our history and how we have utilized them to move us forward, then you're able to see the ways in which we have been able to strategize in the past, right? So through history, we're able to see what has worked, what has not worked for us. We're able to see the ways in which our enemy has moved in the past because it's a pattern. If you study history and you study those patterns, you're able to anticipate what they're going to do and you won't fall into the same traps, right? And so when we think about a lot of times what we are learning as history, we're learning it simply to learn if we allow ourselves to learn it in the way that they want us to learn it, right? But when we allow ourselves to internalize it and think about the ways that we can actually pick up that history and utilize it as a weapon, as you stated earlier, Black meaning African, then it is in those moments that we're truly understanding how to honor our own history, because it's in those moments that we're saying that the people who came before me have done something that I can use, and so I'm going to use it.
Excellent. So now, yes, I'm going to touch on that last point as well, Sister Tiambe. And I think that the statement speaks to the point that I was making. Because of historical ignorance, many of our people have clung to the history of the oppressor. And there is a misreading and a misunderstanding of our history because of the ignorance that many people have. And let me be very clear. The ignorance that many Black people have, even those who classify themselves as being scholars, the ignorance that they have of what our history truly is, have led them to contribute to being historical reductionist and historical revisionist. So we have reduced and revised our history from the perspective of white people because we don't really know what our history is. Because many of us have received our awareness and understanding of what our history is. We received it from white people. So therefore, our articulation of our history is nothing but us regurgitating white thought. And yes, when you have those of us who have been fed white thought as it relates to our history, we will honor their history, their power. But see, for those of us who truly understand, what our history is, then we know that's not the case. We know who we are, what our power is, And our power tells us that there is no power like us standing on the planet Earth. You know what I'm saying? Never have been, never will be. You know what I'm saying? We the beginning of the ultimate power, and we the ending of the ultimate power. There's nothing like us. You know, because we don't know that is the reason why we still tend to struggle the way we struggle. But the moment we come to the realization of who we are, by way of understanding our history, so that we can begin to embrace our true selves, and with that embracement, unleash the true power of what it means to be Black, we're going to change the world by first changing our conditions and changing Africa. We will do that.
Yeah, and just to add real quick, our power will come from studying our history. You know, when we studying our true history, you feel empowered, you feel stronger. You know, you don't just feel wiser. It's not just something you regurgitate just to showcase what you learned, what you know, and how much of it you know. It gives you a sense of pride, and it gives you something to continue to fight for every day. You know, whether you joined a revolution or not, you know, the revolution, just the fact of fighting oppression on your own, you know, going out here to these corporations, to these jobs, going out here in the world, it just gives you something more within you to want to fight. And I can just recall me learning more about my culture many years ago, how it empowered me, how it enabled me to see myself differently. You know, the love for myself grew, as well as the love for my people. It was like, wow, we did that. Wow, we overcame that. Wow, she done that. And it just make you feel like she got through that. She was going through this and got through this. I can get through what I'm going through, because hers was 10 times worse. Hers was 50 times worse, you know, and it just give you something to say, oh, I know I can do this. You know, I know I can get through this. So our history gives you that. And it also, as Dr. John Henry Clark says, and I don't know if it was mentioned already, I didn't hear it. It's our compass. You know, it gives us direction. It gives us a better understanding of not just where we came from, not just what we're going through now, but where we still must go and what we still must do. So history is very essential.
Yes, excellent point.
Yeah.
If I may, real quick, I know I see the car over there. You ready to hop in? Well, I got my little second while my baby's still quiet. One of the things that I honed in on was when it was mentioned twice, the real history, and using that real raw history as that motive of power. My mind went to essentially the question and answering the question, what is that real history? What is that real power that we can find within our history? Mama Tiombe mentioned on one hand, you know, when it came to the aspect of enslavement, it wasn't all just us taking a beating and us, yes, massa, and step fetching our way to 1865. No, there was constant rebellions. There was ones who made it to different stages of the aspect. Some just made it to the planning stage. Some were fully executed out, and we were able to actually establish our own nations. The independence of Haiti is what motivated and inspired countless other rebellions, countless other organizations to come forth after that particular date. So we have that. Most recently, I was reading a book. It's called the Ankh, the African Origins of Electromagnetism, and it goes into how the different signs and symbols were used in Kemet and how that translated into being able to produce light, electricity, radio waves, and in a very great way, the author elaborated as to how and why the concept of the battery, and then essentially DC, and what powers our homes today, AC powered, was essentially something that derived from Kemet, because it was through the invasion of Napoleon going in that they were able to extract all of that information. So there's no way in the world that us in 2024 can not see the amount of power that's in our history, because even through reading that book, I went and I got a couple of tools put together, and I made myself a little makeshift battery right here at the house. So for my own personal,
you broke
a
up.
makeshift battery. I broke up.
Going out and yeah.
Okay. Everybody else hear me?
Yeah, I heard
Hello?
you. Good.
Okay. So yeah, that's just an aspect of something I was able to do. And the list goes on when it comes to understanding the amount of sacrifices that were being made through numerous amounts of our people throughout our history. But that's just something that influences me. I don't know if anybody else had anything that they can share as like what is that real raw aspect of history that was able to motivate, that lit your spirit on fire, that motivated you, that transcended or transformed you into your process?
I think one of the things that's critical now, like, is because a lot of people, we keep saying like 400 years. We've been fighting white people for 2,000 years, at least, going all the way back to when the Greeks invaded Kemet. You know, that land that's now called Egypt. You know, at the end of the day, yeah. And so at the end of the day, you know, we've been fighting a long time, and I would never say that we've been conquered. You know, some of these things that's taking place is like temporary occupations or occupying a certain land temporarily. But that's the thing, we got to be able to see it in a larger picture, because even America, 1776 to 2022, that's still not even 300 years. So at the end of the day, this country is a baby. It's really not even a sperm inside of a father's testicle when you look at the whole large table of history. Because, you know, we've been ruling for a long time. And so right now we got to be able to see ourselves as, okay, you know, we got a little bit lost in the forest. Now let's make a couple turns and we're going to hop straight out. And so at the end of the day, learning the history becomes, okay, what's the proper analysis of what's going on? Because if your enemy is telling you who your parents are, of course you're going to think your parents is weak, because your enemy told you about your parents. And so at the end of the day, you know, the things about our history is the fact that, you know, I've been able to see things like Baba Tamim is saying, because that's a fact. You know, Napoleon, all of a sudden they invaded Kemet. Like the next 2 years, all of a sudden they got an invention of a battery. White people really don't have no inventions. They don't have no culture. It's stealing and manipulation and them being able to put their name on an invention. You know, our ancestors, we done did too much for us to not know the importance of their contributions. So we got to be able to see how things truly line up, because that's what's really going to bring us out this situation that we in. And I see that somebody else brought something up else for in the comments, so I don't want to keep talking too much.
Real quick before we respond to the brother that posted a comment, I want to give thanks to everybody joining us and those that just joined in. Please continue to share the lives. I see more people joining us. Continue to share the live, family.
That's Brother Obafemi, Race First, Arkansas. That's what it is. Yes, Brother Obafemi. We dealt with that at the very beginning of this live, but I'm glad you still brought it in. But I believe we clarified that.
Yeah, had to pour that digital libation. Yeah,
at the very beginning. We're going to most definitely represent and uphold the honor of all our greats. We're not going to allow no one to step on their works and kick their works to the side because we are listening to white people. We as a people, we listen to white people too much. You know, we listen. Me personally, I'm just of the mindset that I'm always looking for a search for my truths through black people. As simple as that. I'm not saying that I've never read anything a white person has written or a foreigner have written, but I'm saying that when it comes to fact finding and verification and validity, I'm looking for black sources. I'm looking for black people. Only black people matter to me. I don't have no intellectual energy for nobody else. That's just where I'm at right now. I don't have no analytical ability for nobody else. You know, I don't have it. You know what I'm saying? We got too many problems as a people. My people need everything that I have, everything that I've been allowed to develop and receive from the ancestors is what my people need. You know, so I'm not in the business of trying to share my intellect, my genius or anything with anybody else. It's all about black, 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 black. As Kamal Khan says, he said, always stand on black and you're going to win. Nothing like black. I put the post up about 2 weeks ago. What precedes black? Nothing. It's simple as that. You can't get anything before black. And if you can't get anything before black, then that makes black primary. It makes black original. It makes black authentic. It makes black indigenous. Black is all of that. You know what I'm saying? And it makes black sacred. Because when you look at the Memphite theology, and we talking about, all things that come to be, noon is classified as dark, watery mass. But nowhere in the Memphite theology does it talk about the creation of noon. So noon is it. Black is it. That's who you are. That's who we are. And we need to know and learn everything we can possibly learn about what it means to be black, what it is to be black, as long as we stand on this planet.
I see Baba Kwame in the comments almost. Speak, Baba. And shout out to him. He said you one of his favorite speakers.
Baba Kwame, a beautiful audio, my brother. Get well. Get well. Get well, my brother. Get well. Energy, good energy is also good for health.
Yes.
Good energy is good for health. Good energy. To be around good energy, to hear good energy, to allow energy in, because energy is energy and sound is vibrations, is healing.
It begins to heal.
It's very important. It's very important. Listening to, good music, listening to good lectures, good energy is good for health.
So we know the opposite, holds true. Being around bad energy, toxic energy, listening to it, watching it, it's going to do something to your spirit, to the contrary of what good energy would do. So be careful of what you allow yourself to be around constantly in, the environment you're in.
Let me put this question on the floor. This question may have been answered in a very indirect way, but I would like for us to answer it in a direct way. So even if you've already said something that probably lends to this question, it's okay to reiterate it. More importantly, why is it important for Black people to study and know Black history?
Because white history is being used against us every day. They constructed a whole society off of, their quote unquote greats, and they all over the money. I'm gonna use that as an example because Andrew Jackson, that's one of the guys that got punished by one of our Black militaries. Right here, this book right here, The Invisible War. We talk about the Gullah Wars. It happened from 1739 to 1858. And our ancestors was handing it to them down there in Florida and Georgia. We defeated the U.S. military 3 times. 3 times. And this is right before, you see the date 1858, all of a sudden the Emancipation Proclamation coming in 1865. These people was not doing that because, they trying to do us a favor. We was punishing these people, killing them. In this book, it talk about how white people were scared to come to America because they heard about the white people that was dying. So it's like, look, man, when we really know what we was doing, we got to be able to see, like, we not some like lay down, get down, anything type of people, and we can already look at out in the community and see what's going on, like, all the thing that's happening with our brothers using the incorrect energy towards each other. That energy should be channeled the right way. That's not bad energy. It's being used incorrectly, but it's not bad energy, and that's actually warrior energy. That's what we need. And that's why, you got Baba George Jackson. I'm gonna pull out that book real quick. Blood in My Eye, talking about changing the criminal mentality.
How many books you got down there, bro?
A revolutionary mentality.
God,
Changing the criminal mentality into a revolutionary mentality. And that's why history is extremely important, because Baba George Jackson wanted to go after the hardest guys. And that's what Bob Imhotep did when he was behind the wall. Looking for the hardest guys. Go get him. Go get him, because we know when he comes to this side, they're going to be nothing to be played with.
That's right.
And that's what history is about, transforming yourself, but keeping the essence that's going to protect, provide, and support for our people. And that's what we need, because we're not going to get out of this situation just doing what we always did before we knew about the importance of what it means to be Black, what it means to come from Africa, what it means to use the history of our ancestors. Because we got to radically change our environment. You know, America is never going to be the same once we really completely do what we do. Man, it's a lot of stuff that can't even be said online like that. But, you know, we got to be ready for what are we going to do once America don't exist no more? And that's how we got to think about why history is important, because when America don't exist, what are we going to stand on? Are we going to sink with America? I'm not about to go to the bottom of the ocean with these people. You know, what are we going to do? But history is going to instruct us on what we must do and how we can make it out of this type of situation, because our ancestors carried out many revolutions. And so, you know, I just say that.
Great answer. Anybody want to add any add-ons?
You know, now if I want to add on, I just had a question to my brother. How many books you got down there, brother? just rough after the ballpark. You got what, 5, 10 books?
No, you know, I gotta come ready. You know, that's
Okay,
that's the
all
PLM
right.
tradition. You gotta be able to back up what you're talking about. You know, we back it up in action, and we also back it up in study.
Black History Month. I like that.
Hopefully some of them books is some of your Conrad books. I mean, you know, I'm gonna just drink from that.
Yeah, these is all right here. You know, you see the red, black, and green book.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah,
I got Up From Slavery. Matter of fact, and y'all may gifted this book to me right here.
yeah,
I'm reading this right. Yeah, he did for Teacher Appreciation Week for our software development program. He gave this to me. You know, this book's serious so far.
I love it.
You know, I study a lot of different stuff. I study my Conrad stuff most definitely.
That's what's up. I got some sitting over here too.
Okay. We see y'all with the colors.
I have this one too.
Drop that code of conduct on them.
I heard challenge. You know?
Look, I actually like that Up From Slavery. It reminds me, you know, when people ask, some people ask like different books, like what's your favorite book on spirituality or health or business? And naturally you can find in our history books that align with the range of those topics. But when it comes to, if somebody was to ask me like a business type of book, that typically is my book of choice, because he goes in very thoroughly in terms of his upbringing, in terms of his daily routine. So it gives you like a real life example of, if you want to challenge yourself so that you can achieve those things that you need to achieve, especially for the benefit, the collective benefit of your people, this is the type of work ethic that needs to be held. So just another shout out to one of our ancestors in history for this time period of Black History Month. Baba, to answer your question, when I look out in nature, because ultimately as a person who has spiritual aspirations in terms of developing, in terms of a person who has health aspirations to become more insightful and to be more in line with what is natural, one of the things that is common is to observe nature. So when I observe nature, I don't see the lion trying to imitate the crocodile. You see, I don't see the seagull trying to do what a caterpillar does. You see, everybody has their specific role. Everybody has their specific lane. So when it comes to Black history and why Black people should have an appreciation and affinity for, to have a desire to delve into Black history, I have to put it into the context of nature. And in the context of nature, Black people are not like any other people. Therefore, there's no need for me to go to study to try to be like any other people except my own. So if I'm birthed in a society or in a place that I may be confused where, well, what is my way? Because I see, if I go out to maybe a regular public school and I see white people and Asian people and Indian people and black people, and they all kind of operating more or less the same way, right? We're just going to assume that we have specific Asian and Indian children who have parents that were born in America, so we don't have those dynamics. But if I see kind of more or less the same way, I should know then that something is not right. And then I need to delve into, well, how do I need to behave and conduct myself as a black person? Women, ask that question. How do I need to conduct myself and behave as a black woman? And as a man, how do I need to conduct myself and behave as a black man? And how do I need to do so in the society in which I'm living in? And those answers are best answered through the study of our history and through the reinforcement of our community. Now, if we don't have the community, then naturally a thorough understanding of the history will allow someone to come to a conclusion that one needs to be developed. Because anytime that you're reading anything on African people, one of the common themes is family. One of the common themes is people. So we need to really put that at the center. And I don't want to touch on too much, go too deep into it. But that's what I would find. Why Black people need to go into Black history? Well, we are a unique people. We are unlike any other people on the planet. And therefore, in order to guide us in the best direction, in order for us to maximize who and what we are as a people, we need to understand our history. We need to understand our ancestors. We need to understand when we hear those voices that no other people can hear, what are those voices? What are those voices that's telling us what to do, or maybe telling us something not to do? What is it? It's spirit. Well, how do we know that it is spirit? How do we know that we just not hearing voices and going crazy? Why? Because we have a unique connection with spirit that no other people have. No other people have that. And in order for us to have that level of comfort within ourselves, we got to know who and what we are.
That's
it.
Beautifully put.
So, real quick, we got a couple minutes left, but I put this comment up because this comment is very important, and it actually came after you spoke, Dakari. So I don't know if you want to take a stab at this one, because it's this one here, and it's another one. They pretty much like a similar. Would you like to take a stab at it, or you want to pass the rock?
Yeah, I'll respond. And those are really things that we won't be able to cover in this amount of time. Even a whole hour won't do it sufficient. But I'll say something about it. Because we have to be able to understand that Africa at its beginning was always about answering the needs of the family. One of the books that Dr. John Henry Clark got, and excuse me if I'm saying the title wrong, but it's something like The World in Africa, something like that. It's a blue book. It's like horizontal, shaped like a rectangle. And he talk about how
Africa in the world.
Say it again.
Africa in the world.
Yeah, Africa in the world. And so he talk about in that book how our ancestors, we created our civilization off of serving the basic needs of the family. And so when we move around that, naturally we create everything that we need. We have somebody that's making sure that we have running water coming into the community. We have people that's building houses. We got people that's taking care of the children. We got people that's making weapons. We got people that's educating. We got people that's doing spiritual research, because our divination systems, really that's like a computer database. But we think that computer is about typing on the keyboard. Our ancestors was geniuses, and like Baba Tami was saying, we naturally had the gift of spiritual travel. And so we had no issues of receiving a dream from the ancestors or being able to put ourselves into a certain state where we receiving messages. In fact, one of the priests from one of the oldest traditions in Africa, he says that one of the most important forms of divination is being able to tune your mind into the universal mind. And he said that can be achieved without even going into a meditative state. So our ancestors, we created a whole society around being unified about what's best for the family and about spiritual elevation. And so this is how we built a Kemet. Because really, Kemet was a Pan-African society. So you have, and Professor James Small talked about how even people came from West Africa to help build Kemet. So he's saying people from the Yoruba, the Akan, the Dogon, and the Igbo. He said that's how people knew how to go back over there once people started leaving Kemet. So Kemet is really migrations from West Africa, migrations from South Africa, migrations from East Africa. And we always move with that whole tradition of building up the family and being able to factor in the different facets of life. And this is why we already had a calendar by the time Kemet was built. This is why the Medu Neter was already in full function by the time Kemet was built, because we already had written languages. And we still have our indigenous written languages all throughout Africa. We just don't know these things because white people is telling us about our history. But, to really understand deeply all the things that we did, we got to be able to commit ourselves to an organized studying process, because, this stuff I'm speaking on, I got a lot of this information by coming to PLM. And so for those of us who really want to know something about history, we got to prepare ourselves inside of our spirit to go through a process of learning what it means to be Black, to be African, and working in unison with an organization or some type of process that's organized. Even if you're not directly involved in that organization, if they got a study class, value the study class.
Ashe. And I just want to add, I know we over time, and Dakari did a beautiful job as answering the question. But I just want to add, like, even in our institutions that we had spoke about in some previous live, from ADP, which is under Urban Youth Initiative Project, to WDC, which is Watoto Development Center, it's a child care center, what I like to call baby school. We're teaching these things, which is what was our culture, or what was our history prior to the invasions. So you're going to hear about the resistance. You're going to hear about the rebellion, because that's a part of our history as well. But you means from Queen Ty, Queen Teddy Sherry, Queen Nzinga, and many, many other queens and kings, that ruled in ancient Kemet and other places, in Africa. Who were we and what was we like prior to the invasions? And even teaching our children about the invasions, who invaded first and what happened and how they were when they first came to us. They were students. They wasn't coming in straight off the bat ready to, to fight us and oppress us. They was coming to learn from us, because we was inventing things. And as Brother Dakari already established, we had the first written language. So they was coming to learn and sit at our feet. So it's definitely being taught, and it's definitely being expressed from all of the institutions that we have, even the study class that Dakari mentioned and Baba Kwame said he learned from PLM. He's talking about coming to our study class, where we address these things and we talk about these things. So definitely we're not starting the history, or we don't encourage people to start the history at the resistance, because we go back so much further than that. It's so much more to us than just the resistance. However, that's a part of our history, how we got to fight, how we had African sovereignty, and how we had to fight to reestablish that.
Excellent point. Excellent point. We are now 4 minutes past 10. And I want to thank all of you for joining us. Most definitely give thanks to all my comrades that have joined us here tonight. Mama Ife, with Dakari, Tamin, Tayambe, Osila. You did an excellent job, everyone. This is the School of Urban Philosophy. If you have not subscribed to this channel, please subscribe to the channel. Please share the live. Please encourage people to come to the channel. The content of the channel is a very profound content, and we want to consistently get this content out. But typically, we do the Black Forum the first Thursday and the third Thursday of every month. However, for the month of February, I will be back every Thursday in February.
Uh-oh.
discussing some aspects of African history.
Let's get it.
Please, those of you who joined us tonight, if you like this particular discussion, if you felt like it was, landing with you where it need to land at, please come back next Thursday at 9 p.m. and join Bob and Hotep and whatever comrade of PLM that's up for the task that's going to join me, and y'all join us and let's get it in.
Yeah. And we had a lot of people join us tonight. Shout out to everybody that shared our lives. The numbers went up constantly. And so shout out to all of you watching. And as Baba, I believe you mentioned already, please subscribe. And not just subscribe now, like right now, right this moment. Subscribe right now.
Click that bell.
Subscribe to this channel so you can get that notification when we're going live again as a family, as well as when Bob or any of us is going live on this platform. We want you to tune in. We enjoy the conversation with you all. Many of you was commenting in the comment section. Many of you was writing questions in the comment section. We enjoy you all being with us. Your energy means a lot. We love you, Black family. And you can continue to share this even once we are done with this live. Just take the video, take the link, send it to as a text or inbox to people because people need to hear this good word. Ashe, Tiambe, don't just be here, build here. Ashe says.
Yes. So we're going to sign off, as always, at the School of Urban Philosophy, where information is straight up, straightforward, and straight to the point. Very empowering and revolutionizing to your spirit. With that, we say BB48 and race first.
BB48.
Race first.
Yeah.